Fairy Tail Ranger's Quest Chapter 157 is out, and this was a good chapter, as we not only get set up for this truly hyped up arc that not only from us fans are hyping it up, but even in the series, we're getting hyped up for it, as not only do we meet one of the members of Fire and Flame, but in this chapter we finally get to see a bit more of Ignia, and teasing for what potentially his plans could in fact be. And based on this chapter, we're definitely going to be building up to something incredibly big for this arc. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and ensures you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Fairy Tail Fridays are great, and I really want to keep talking Fairy Tail with you guys. These latest chapters have been honestly really fun to go through, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into this chapter. So chapter 157 of 100 Years Quest, titled Fire and Flame. And the cover image is a nice wholesome image of Levi and Warrid as they're watering plants. Honestly, this is really nice and wholesome. Gotta have it, especially with how hyped up this chapter ends up being. So we continue from where last week, where Brian, after absorbing Natsu's flames and getting sucker punched by Natsu, just walks out of the saloon like it's no big deal, as he just ate up some of Natsu's flames. Despite the bartender warning him not to do anything with Brian, Natsu, infuriated that Brian basically just ate his flames and just dipped and not getting into a fight, Natsu says, "I told that jerk to wait," as he just bolts out the door chasing after Brian. Lucy tries to get Natsu to stop, but that doesn't work, but Gray ends up asking, "You mentioned Fire and Flame just now, did you?" And he basically remembers what the Signario sisters said that were they're members of, and he says, "We've been looking for them." The bartender says, "You're better off not getting involved with them. They're a dark guild and all their members use fire magic." So, yeah, the fan theory that Ignia has his entire group, well, whole guild, using fire magic does make sense. I mean, he's the fire dragon god, and it makes sense if he fills his legion with fire users. So, makes sense. That and with the name Fire and Flame, it's kind of easy to think about it. Happy then ends up asking him if he actually does know something about the Fire God's castle, as the bartender stops and just says, "Yeah, it's their headquarters." And the guild master is a young man named Ignia. As everyone's shocked, we finally get to see Ignia again in his throne room, as the bartender continues to say, though he's had the same appearance for many years now, so I suspect he might not be human. As, I gotta say this, Ignia has become the new owner of a much better chair-sama. Now, if you don't know this meme, it's literally a meme from Bleach where Aizen is, for the most part, just in a chair, restraining him, and everyone's like, this chair must be insanely powerful to hold back the sheer presence that is Aizen. So, just Ignia sitting in this chair, I'm just like, yeah, this is the new chair-sama. Moving on. The Signario sisters return to Ignia, as he says, "So you're finally back," as they end up apologizing, saying that Viernus did capture them. Ignia says, but Viernus is dead now. Alderone and Doggermac too. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Have you met Natsu? As the girls say, yeah, they kind of have a faint memory of him, and he's probably the one that took out Viernus. Ignia, with a smug look on his face, just says, for over 100 years, nobody could beat the Dragon Gods, and here he is defeating one after another. And Mercphobia and Celine are on the human side now. Now, one big thing, because I know people are going to say this in the comments section. Look, the Dragon Gods that Natsu has defeated, he did not fight in a full-on 1v1 with just his power alone. They were either already nerfed, or there were specific conditions that needed to be met in order for him to defeat them. Viernus was disappointing because it was just the power of just the current team Natsu and Sabretooth given to Natsu to take out Viernus. That was disappointing of a very short fight. Doggermaw got beat by Suzaku and Natsu, but he was being nerfed throughout the fight as they were getting rid of the Dogger cores. Alderone was weakened because he had previously fought Acnologia, so he was still recovering, but that was still a tough fight for Natsu to win. And Mercphobia, well, Ignia just gave Natsu a power boost with his flames to beat Mercphobia. So there's all that, and, well, Natsu didn't even beat Celine or fight her in a full-on fight. Ignia was the one that took her down, so that's all there is to it. So while Natsu did technically beat the Dragon Gods that he fought, he didn't 100% beat them without any real catches. So, just wanted to clarify before people just go on and say stuff. But anyway, Ignia goes on to say, but I'm the one who's gonna win, as we get a nice sinister look of Ignia and the Signario sisters. As we get passing by panels of Team Natsu in their locations, as Ignia goes on to state they haven't realized it yet. The reason why Dogramog built the Great Labyrinth, that the continent of Giltina will burn one day. As Natsu finally manages to catch up to Brian, as he tells him to hold off. Brian just laughs and says, look, I'm all full, I don't need any more of your flames. But he stops, thinks about it for a second, and then comes to a realization that Natsu is a fire wizard. As he ends up asking, you use fire magic back there, right? Want to join forces with us? As this kind of stuns Natsu for a second as he says, we're gathering up fire wizards. As then Natsu just hits him in the face with a fiery punch, telling him to shut up. As Brian is bounced onto the ground, as Natsu says, after what you said about my friends, I got no intention of being friends with you. Brian smirks and just blasts fire out of his hand mouth towards Natsu, saying, you can die then. As Natsu then eats up the flames that Brian managed to conjure. Now, my theory is that Brian might have two different types of magic right now. Fire magic and his ability to eat/absorb things with his hand mouths. And that is very interesting because we don't really see a lot of characters in Fairy Tail use magic that isn't their main magical attribute. There are rare occurrences, or they use magic that's very attuned and gives extra stuff to the magic that they end up using, but they only really use their main magic. So it's nice if Ignia has a lot of characters in his guild that have multiple magic abilities, but if it's just Brian, it's fine. It adds a bit more variety. At least that's what I'm speculating right now. Now, Natsu eating the flames, Brian is surprised by this, as Brian's like, oh, you eat flames too. And he says, want to see which one of us eats so much he falls down. And Natsu says, look, I don't want any more of your crabby flames. He charges up a fire dragon, Talon, as this catches Brian's attention, as he's wondering, wait, fire dragon? And as Natsu's about to hit Brian on the head with his kick, he then taps his hat, and his hat turns into a mouth, and then chomps down on Natsu's foot. So this magical ability that he has doesn't just stick to his hands, he can just conjure mouths anywhere, which is honestly pretty cool, and kind of all over the place, which makes fighting him kind of difficult because he can literally just sprout a mouth with sharp pointy teeth anywhere in his body if that's the case, which is honestly very cool. Brian then twists his neck and throws Natsu from his hat as he says, fire dragon, don't tell me you're that Natsu kid Ignia mentioned. As mentioning Ignia, Natsu obviously is interested. Brian said that Ignia ordered them to bring them to him if they manage to find Natsu. And so he asks Natsu if he's coming. Natsu says, of course I'm coming, but I gotta talk to everyone real quick. But Brian tells Natsu that there's no need. Natsu's confused, but then he smells something. As he looks behind him, the entire town has become ash. Brian saying your past has disappeared, ending the chapter. So yeah, hype stuff happening in Fairy Tail right now. The whole town essentially got burnt to ashes without Natsu even realizing it. So this might be Ignia's true full power at play here, and maybe he's able to burn anything that he deems he wants to burn, and this might be part of Ignia's whole plan, as he did say the Giltina will burn. Now, is Team Natsu gone? No. Honestly, my main thing is that I do think they managed to get out of it, or they were unaffected, with the main possibility being Horologium, Lucy's clock spirit, because he always comes in clutch whenever something is about to instantly kill somebody, and just appears out of nowhere, saves Lucy and whoever's around. Now, it would be a tight squeeze to fit literally Lucy, Wendy, Gray, Happy, Carla, and Urza in there, but it would be possible. You never know. Or, for all we know, something else saved them at the last minute. Maybe Celine shows up, sensing Ignia doing something, and just saves the Team Natsu. And maybe that will bring in Diablos again, because we're the final Dragon God. We do kind of need them to be relevant again, and I really hope that's the case. But yeah, Ignia teasing at what his true plans are, the reason for Dogramon creating the Labyrinth, and how he's going to burn Giltina. I am very curious to see what happens next. Ignia has already had hype around him since his first appearance, and right now, with him being built up to be the final antagonist of 100 Years Quest, at least for now, let's just say I'm incredibly interested to see what's going to happen next. My hype levels are through the roof. This is another great chapter, and I cannot wait for the next chapter in 2 weeks. But what did you guys think of this chapter? Let me know in the comment section down below with your thoughts, predictions, and theories. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.